Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. Yeah, this is the digital experience team. I'm going to do a walkthrough of our new CMS tool, Contentful, which is, like Michael said, if you were just in the marketing all hands, this is powering like the majority of our website. Most of the content that's on about.gitlab.com is in there now, and the rest of it is being moved in as we speak. So I'll show an overview of the tool, and we can talk about kind of how to create and edit content, roles and permissions, and kind of the future tools and features that we're going to be adding in. So I'll share my screen here. Okay. Okay. So yeah, this is Contentful. If you, I believe that we just finished, we got an access request for this team maybe today or yesterday. So I think we're in the middle of getting everyone access to this tool. So if you haven't seen it before, this is Contentful and this is what it looks like. The first thing I want to call out is up in this top left corner, it says about.gitlab.com here. These are the spaces that we own on the team. We have 3 of them. One of them is about.gitlab.com, which is where the bulk of our work is going to be done. That's the marketing website. So that's all of the pages on the marketing website, except the blog. The blog is in its own separate space here. And then we also have a third space that houses just our navigation and our footer that appears on every single web page. So depending on access and permissions, your spaces might look a little bit different. But yeah, I'm going to go into about.gitlab.com here. It usually brings you to the content tab, but if it hasn't, if it's brought you to the home screen or something, there's some helpful information. But most of the content that you want to work on is going to be in this content tab. The content model is just groups of types of content like heroes and buttons. But what actually those heroes and buttons contain is going to be here in the content tab. The first time you land, it might have you, this content type might be filtered to any. There's like, what, 7,000 pieces of content on our website. So that's kind of like a hard view to look at. So yeah, I will just change this filter to be page. This is a content type that kind of makes sense of how our website is built. It's built on different pages. Like there's the /company page, the /analyst page, the demo page, dedicated page. So these, I've sorted them alphabetically. This is kind of how the website is built in my mind. So I like to filter it by page. And if I'm looking to change something on a specific page, this is how I find it. You can search specific strings of text if you want in here, or you can just kind of drill down into whatever page you're looking at. So for demo's sake, I have the analyst page open here. So /analysts, and just taking a quick look at this page, it looks like there's a hero, there's a card, there's some accordion stuff happening here, and then another little section of cards, which that makes up the whole page. So I'm going to go into this analyst page here. And when I click in, I'm brought to this screen. And this is kind of everything that exists on that analyst page should be in this screen. We've got a title of a page, the URL or the slug, so /analysts. These should not be changed really unless there's some approval to change a page name. A little bit of info about this page, some SEO data like your Twitter images for sharing, that all lives in here. And then this page content. This is going to be all those things we just saw. There's a hero, there's a card, there's that little accordion, there's another card group. So this is the bread and butter of where all the content lives on any given page. There's going to be this page content section. And so if I wanted to see the things that are in a hero, I would click on it. This little slide out comes. I get the title, what top analysts, industry analysts are saying about GitLab. That should match this, and it does. So we're all good. We've got a little description. We've got that image that appears on the side. Some things that aren't used, but some heroes have them. Some heroes have little buttons on them. So those things are all available here. Some things that I want to point out, I guess, on all of these screens, all of your content is in the middle of the screen, but on the sidebar, there's a lot of really cool tools. So there's this big green button that shows that this content is published. That's the current status of the content. If I were to change it, this will become changed, and I would have the opportunity to publish it with this button. It'll say publish. So I'll show that, I guess, over here. I think I've got something changed here. I know that I was just adding spaces into this. There's no real changes to this, but if I wanted to, I could publish it. I can also see down in this version section, the difference between what is live on the site, what's published, and what I have written. So it looks like the only thing that has changed is this internal name, analyst relations contacts, and it looks like I removed an S. So I can see specifically what happened. None of these other, this also has changed. So it looks like there's a new card being added in here. So maybe I won't change this because I want to make sure that this is actually approved change. So someone might be in here working, which is kind of neat. But yeah, that versions tool is going to be really handy to see what people are working on. And before I publish anything, I'm going to check in there to make sure that whatever I'm going to hit publish is changing the things that I wanted to change, not, someone else is in there, just messing around. So yeah, a nice little tool in there. If I go back to this page level, the analyst page, I also see on this sidebar neat little Google Analytics integration. So I can see how many page views this has in the last 7 days. So that's kind of a quick overview. I also want to go into this live preview. This is a really handy tool. If I open this live preview, then I see a version of the page in my browser, and all of those components are on the side. So again, if I go into this hero and I want to, add whatever, I can see it live and exactly what I've changed and get an idea of how it's going to look. I can copy this URL and send it to, my friends or whoever for review, and they'll be able to see those changes and approve them or comment or, tell you if they want changes. I'm going to remove that before I accidentally publish anything. But yeah, this live previewer is really handy, especially kind of as a replacement for review apps. And in the back end, it is actually running on a review app, which is kind of neat. One thing I will call out, if you're not seeing those live previews work properly, sometimes this defaults to one of the other options. So just make sure it's in the review app one. And then, yeah, I believe that's kind of the bulk of what you're going to see in a content editing mode. Some people, depending on your roles and permissions, might not have the ability to publish content, and some people will. I will go into maybe one of the other changed.
Hey, Laura, could we go into an events page?
Sure.
Leslie was making a good point that this team makes a lot of changes to an events page. And Leslie, your team, is there, like, it's probably not possible, but is there any change that actually needs to be made right now? Because we could do it live, or we could just pretend.
Katie, or is Natalie on?
I don't know if Natalie has any. I don't have any right now. We've been sending them all to your team in the interim, but we're curious how to make these changes, but also where is it going to live in the handbook, please?
Yes, yes.
We definitely need instructions because the FMCs do that on our end.
Where is what going to live in the handbook? The instructions or the
instructions on how to make changes. So there is a page already that has our previous repo and how to make changes and add events, right. But we'll need to revamp that with the current process with Contentful.
Yeah, for sure. I'll grab the link. I shared it in our marketing all hands. I'll just open that doc real quick because it'll be the fastest.
Yeah, in the meantime, I can give a quick kind of overview of the event section. The event section is kind of a fun one. It's handled, some of our pages are handled a little bit differently. Sorry, Michael, do you want, I wasn't
nope.
for you saying something. Okay.
You go.
Okay.
I'm just making weird noises over here as I copy and paste.
It's hard
Typical
work.
Wednesday.
Yeah. So I'll go to this events landing page. And this is, if I go to the events page, which most of you are familiar with, just kind of to give an overview, we've got a hero, we've got this band, and then we've got this huge list of events. Oh, it's not so huge right now. But for this page, so again, I've got my title, my URL/events, some SEO stuff, page content. So I see a header and text. So this is this hero. I see a video carousel, and then I see next steps, which is actually like kind of an add-on component at the bottom. But I don't see these guys, which is because we built this page a little bit differently. So I'm kind of glad that you asked about it. This page takes all of this content and displays it, and takes events from a separate part. We have a special content type called events. And as soon as an entry is added into this list, it'll get put on the web page. So I can add an entry. The type is going to be event. I'm actually going to just open one that already exists. This is a template, maybe not. Let's pick one. Sure, beer ops sounds cool. Looks like this was.
Is it? Sorry for interrupting, but is it possible to like create from scratch? Because, or you suggest?
Yeah. So what what I would do is I would open one that already exists, and then I'm going to go back in here and open a new one and kind of go back and forth and fill out field by field to make sure I'm not missing anything. So I have two. I've got this beer ops one that already exists open, and then I'm back to my events. Series of events. I'm going to add a new one in here. Internal name is internally. This won't display on the website, so you can put whatever you want, but it's good to be descriptive. Like in this case, they use the same as the actual event name. But I would do, like a test event. And I would make that the same as the actual name. This appears on the website. Let's see what else they have. It's going to generate a URL for me. That's fine. We don't actually display this anywhere on the website. This isn't a real URL. There is a place to put the actual event URL a little bit lower. So don't worry that this is just going to auto generate to the test event, my slug. So that's fine. The format is going to be the type of event, I guess, but we have event type. That might be a little bit confusing. And we can also adjust these as the team would like. This is, kind of just how we formatted this, but yeah, we've got the types of event here, which we're calling format. So whatever this would be, I would pick one. Looks like this is a standard event. For World Tour pages, they usually do get their own landing page. So we would choose World Tour as the actual page. I know the World Tour is kind of over. We have an event description. This is just Markdown. So your links will work in here if you, format them like you would in issues, with whatever, and your URL. And then the date, we have start date, and maybe I'll choose something in the future. Start date and end date, if it's the same day, it's a one-day event. This date with time is only when you have like a specific countdown. We have this on our summit page. There's like a countdown of the summit event. So that's kind of what this field is used when you need like it's counting down to 9 a.m. Central or whatever. Location, this is just a free form field, in this case, they have city, country, and this one, location, I'm not sure why there's a duplicate field in here, but we can also remove that. Region is what region it's in, and then the event URL we kind of talked about for registration. And a lot of these aren't used, but I would just go back and forth and see like, okay, nothing is in here for an event. Nothing is in here. Like these are all kind of just empty fields. And then this very bottom part, show on the landing page, is a yes or no. So like with our summit event, that's internal. We don't want that on the events landing page. So we toggle that to no, but it is still an event that exists in our system with its own separate page. So yeah, this one is a regular event landing page. So yeah, I won't publish this this test event, but that's essentially what I would do. You'll see it's in draft mode. And once this is published, then it would appear on our events page, as long as it's a date in the future. And that would take maybe about less than 10 minutes for the pipeline to run before it's kind of live. But yeah, I think.
And is this kind of like an MR where, like, if I submit this, somebody's going to need to review it, correct? Or
that depends on your permissions. I think like every team is going to be assigned like a publisher, a couple of people that can publish, and then some people that can only edit or create content. So it depends on which one you are. So if you're a publisher, then yes, as soon as you hit publish, you can send it off without any review. But if you do want to go through kind of a workflow system, you can use existing, issue or discussion if you would like, and you can link directly to Contentful, or you can do it within Contentful if you want. There's like a comment section, maybe. If we want to have a discussion about this description, I'm going to do it on my test event. There's this little comment icon that, I would type, like at Katie, what do you think of this? And it would tag you and you would see it in your Contentful dashboard. So, or you can just comment in general. Like right now I'm commenting on one field, but you can comment on the whole thing without picking a specific field, and tag people within Contentful to look at whatever your changes are before they get published. So that is an option, but some of that workflow stuff is going to change team by team, depending on how you're used to kind of collaborating with your team members.
Yeah, each team is going to be different, like Laura's saying, and what we're going to start with for roles and permissions is kind of how we go about with the tech stack. It's like minimal access, and then if things are like slowing any teams down, like we will be highly responsive to jump into Contentful to adjust permissions. The way I see it going forward is I'll probably set you, Leslie, as like the highest level that we're giving out of permissions. So you'll be able to create, edit, delete, and publish. And then if you're like, hey, I need X person to be able to do that, it's like, okay, great, let's go do that. Rather than trying to do it the other way where we like give it out and then be like, oh, this person doesn't need it. It's a little bit more effective. But what I do kindly request is just a little bit of grace and patience while we work through that, because I know it's going to be a bit, you'll be annoyed once, but it's the best way to get it right.
And then Laura, I have a really quick question. I think I just saw it on your screen, but in terms of like how we previously used to do it, we would create an MR and then we could create the MR and leave it in that mode prior to obviously giving you as a reviewer if we need to make changes. For Contentful, does it automatically save kind of like Google Docs and there's always a draft? Okay.
Yes, yeah, so it is here. I can share again. Yeah, it is up here in draft mode. So in this state, it hasn't been published. This won't appear on the website until it's been published. If I did hit publish, this would go live. I maybe won't do that. But once it's in published mode, I can always unpublish it if I wanted to remove that event. There's this kind of drop down. It would have the word unpublish that I can change its status to. And then if I were to also, if it was published and I started making changes, it would show changed in blue up here. And I could also publish it. But until I hit that publish button, those changes are not going to be live. It's just going to show up for everyone. If someone wants to join me in this event, like Michael or Nathan, if they started looking at this test event that I'm creating, I would see their little picture pop up here, just like I would in Google Docs, and it would show me which of their fields they're editing, and they would be able to see what I'm editing. So there is a nice little bit of collaboration that happens in Contentful if you'd like to make sure that people are seeing what you're seeing, and you can kind of collaborate and work on this stuff together while it's in draft mode, or in any mode, but specifically while it's in draft mode.
Got it. And does this also have the functionality of being able to preview it on the page and then send that URL to other teammates for sharing an event?
I just tried doing it a minute ago, but we don't have the live previewer set up for this page. We're doing it page by page. So let me get that fixed. But yes, this will be available for previewing.
Can we show them one that does work, Laura? Because it is like, this is such a cool feature. Like, this is not only do you not have to write Markdown anymore, like you can live write normal writing, English, whatever your spoken language is, like, and see how it shows up on the page. And then, like I mentioned in the all hands, while Laura's getting this set up, really hit a weird accent on hands there too. Is like, this is still beta, but we need everyone to get in on it to pressure test it. But we have an iteration coming soon, which is going to be like almost like a page builder, so you don't have to follow like such a rigid path. So that's super exciting. And I think that's more like a January thing, not like we'll have it done in quarters. It'll be done in months. Take it away, Laura.
Yeah, I mean, I know a handful of the pages have not been moved over to the live demo because we had to do them page by page. So that events page, since it is kind of a special page that pulls from 2 different places in Contentful, I think we'll just have to make sure the routing is correct there. But yeah, any of these other pages should be normal live previewer. So like I showed before, this is the demo page, shows the video and kind of some checkboxes in here. So if I wanted to go into this hero, I see GitLab in action, and yeah, I don't know what also has been changed in here. This is showing that it's been changed, but yeah, I think I can actually open this in a new tab. I'm not sure if this is okay. Yeah, the new tab shows a review app, so not what the live changes are. But within this URL, I can show, as long as it has this whole gobbledygook, share this with someone else, and they'll see the live changes. But yeah, I don't know if there's something else to show in here. Just gonna remove this. Yeah. Is there any other?
How about microsite, or is that like a whole nother conversation that we need additional training? Because Samara and Gabby and Kelly, basically the channel team does microsites right now in Path Factory.
Yeah, we're that's more related to the Path Factory transition work that we've got going on.
Okay.
We're just establishing the plan. We want to get the requirements down. Like, we want to make sure we're super buttoned down on moving all of that into the CMS. I think you're gonna love it in the CMS, specifically because Contentful's whole like crux of how they approach what they do is this concept of composable content, which means you can decompose a piece of content down to a reusable chunk. So on all these microsites, like say we have a module that's like 3 featured points we want to get across. And if we have like 60 microsites, maybe there's a little bit of difference on them, but like they're all reusing this. If we decide, oh, we've got AI coming, let's swap out something else and put AI on it, you change that one piece of content and it rolls out to all 60. So it's going to be a huge efficiency gain.
Right.
But I want to make sure that we have this, like everyone required for that will be involved in that work. I want to get that documented. Like, I want to make sure the map is like, we can open the map and get to the destination, not just be like, oh, we'll figure out if there's quicksand on the way. Let's just start walking.
Okay. Sounds good. Sorry, all, for inviting you to this then. Hopefully you're multitasking.
Well, this is super cool. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's good to
excited see
know
it.
what's coming. What's
Yeah,
not.
get in there. Like, even if you get in there and like click around, like when we move into the microsite stuff, like it'll advance our conversation. So I think it's still awesome that you're here, and like we are not afraid of people getting in there, and like you're not going to wreck anything. And if you wreck something, we can undo it in like 3 minutes. So like low fear. Just the more people we have using it, you're actually going to help us find things. So yeah, please don't be afraid of it.
And
I-
just for context, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Nathan.
I was just saying, in the last few weeks, I've been adding events manually in Contentful. And just for context, like I've never added an event before we had Contentful. And I was able to add an event and have it on production in about 10 or 15 minutes. So once you get a hang of it, it's really not bad. But at first it's pretty daunting. Like there's a lot of fields, there's a lot of stuff to memorize, to understand. But once it becomes muscle memory, like I was getting events up there in 10, 15. It was so fun.
Yeah, I mean, so it takes the team like less time than that right now to get in the YAML, but I'm glad that you had fun and that you were excited about that, because they will be excited about that. But question on top of that, I do have the notes doc. And you did answer it. I'm sorry, Nathan. So you will be setting up, we can work with you on a template for the events. Awesome. So they can do it in like 3 minutes now and it'll be live in production.
I'm including production build time there too.
Oh, okay.
So-
Okay. Do we need to assign someone to help you with that?
Sure, that could be helpful. We can walk through maybe creating an event together and then see what fields we want to maybe create default values or create a template. That'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And then just to verbalize my question here. So we've recently used a new tool, HighSpot, and what we found was that people were overwriting one another. And the HighSpot team graciously offered to do all of the rework because it was hours of rework. So this is a new tool. I just want to ask the question of y'all in terms of could we possibly overwrite one another, or what's in place to prevent the overwriting?
So yeah, the short answer is yes. We've seen a little bit of overwriting because that diff tool that I showed, where it shows, what's been updated since the last published version, it shows kind of what has changed. So that's really handy. But it only shows the field that has changed, not specifically what changed within it. So that's a little bit like you really have to kind of be watching what the difference is and what you would be publishing if you did publish it. And it shows the last person who published a version, but the changes since then, anyone could be making changes, and it's not going to kind of log each person that's making changes in there. So yeah, I don't have a great answer for overwriting, more just, hopefully we haven't seen a huge issue yet, but
We're all
it is
helping a strategy.
Yeah, but it is a common feature request for Contentful customers. And being that we're a new customer, it's like kind of the prime time for us to make requests to the vendor. So it's on our radar, Leslie. Like I'm gonna hit up our people pretty hard, being like, look, like the product we're selling through this GitLab can show me line by line what's changed. Like I know we can do this because we do this. So we'll keep putting pressure on that. I think the one saving grace in Contentful is like if the 3 of us were on a page, you see their little icons in the top. So at the very least, you can be like, oh, hey, Katie, I see you're on this event. Like, are you changing anything? Because I'm about to change it. So
Okay.
there's a little bit of signal, but I would like, I don't know, just seems like a no-brainer to have this solved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then to be specific though, if Katie and Natalie are adding
Exactly.
multiple events, so they are in their own unique object, will that still overwrite? Or
If they're adding, sorry, I missed the first part. If they're adding unique events,
yeah, so like when Laura had, like they could each have that own screen, it would be their own.
yeah, that won't overwrite anything. Those are new posts.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I think
So
that
yeah, if I understand you right, it's like the objective would be like if I had 3 people, could they simultaneously create 3 different events?
yes.
Yes. And they wouldn't overwrite each
And
other
then
because like as soon as you say like new post, it assigns like a ID for that post and everyone gets a different ID.
Okay, we'll have that same question when it comes to Path Factory. So put that
Oh.
in the repository.
Got it. Jumbling up here with all the other jelly beans.
Exactly.
And then, Michael, I had a quick question. So similar to GitLab, how you can see who exactly made changes in a post. If let's say all of a sudden your event name got changed or the description got changed, are you able to see from anyone's role or permissions level, like who made that change? Or can you just see the version change? Kind of how like Laura was previously.
Question, Laura, I haven't looked into how permissions have any impact on viewing changes. Have you? I think everyone
No.
should be able to see the
Yeah.
history of changes.
Yeah, I think like from, whatever page that you're on looking at that version history, it'll show, if you hover over it, it'll show Nathan made this change, Michael published this change, but it won't show those like individual, like as everyone is updating, it only shows the publishes. And then if you're asking, if you want to go to like Laura's profile and see what Laura's been up to, I don't think that functionality exists. Like, I don't think there is like a contribution chart, so to speak, of what I've been up to or what Michael has been up to. Nathan, do you know of anything that would show that? I don't think so.
No. I know it shows the name and the date of the last edit, but I don't think it shows anything more granular.
Yeah, so it's not easy to go to someone's like see what one person what they've been dipping their fingers in. You just look at each individual page or each type of content and look at its version. But yeah.
Yeah, it would just be more of like, let's say somebody was like, oh, I want to change the description of this event on the events page, and they just went in there and changed it without like letting anyone know. And it's like, oh, who changed the description? Who changed the title of this event?
Yeah, it would show only if they published it. It would have
Okay.
their you could blame that person, but yeah, any ghost could go in and just make changes and not publish them, and it's kind of you just have to chase down who you think might have made changes. I've seen changes that I'm not sure are like real changes or just someone demoing like me.
And then will Marketo pages, landing pages be going away? And the reason I ask, because this team like very quickly likes to make changes on the landing page if possible, which we don't do today in Marketo. So I think it's not on for right now, but it may be in a future stage. Is that correct, Michael?
Yeah, I could see that. There's a really good Marketo integration where like it's super clever. Like you could just put, like we have a little Marketo field, you click it and it opens all the fields or all the forms in Marketo and you can search for the one you want. Like it's super slick. I can see that coming, and those iterations are pretty fast. So yes, and like Path Factory, like I want to make sure we've got all our ducks in a row before we do that, because the last thing we'll be like, it's going to be better, and then you're like, yo, this sucks, it's worse. So, and then bear in mind too, like I mentioned in the all hands, 2 times a week we're gonna have like an office hours. Laura, Nathan, and I are happy to just hang and chill and make bad jokes, but like we'd rather see you and help you. So we're just gonna get that on everyone's calendars pretty quick here.
Yeah, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, and I know we're at time, but I think our biggest use case right now, really only adding events to the events page. But there obviously will be more usage when it comes to Path Factory and if we bring Marketo over. So it's if we're not there in your hangout, it's not because we don't want to hang out with you. It's just because we don't really have a lot that we're doing right now in the platform.
Totally.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. This is super exciting. And field team, if y'all have any other questions, please let the team know.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
See y'all.